2 Corinthians 10:12. For we would not dare to classify or compare ourselves with some of those who recommend themselves. But when they measure themselves by themselves and compare themselves with themselves, they are without understanding. So Paul is saying that the real measure is God's measure. The real measure is what God is thinking. The real measure is not the ephemeral things, the external things, because really, truly, human beings look at the appearance, but God looks at the heart. When Samuel went to the house of Jesse to anoint one of his sons, let's look at the outward measure. One, the tallest, okay, not the tallest. The oldest, not the oldest. Was chosen and to have the Spirit of the Lord poured out, and that was David. So, but you can contrast that with Saul that God rejected. When they compared him with other people, they compared him based on his height, and they said, "Wow, his head and shoulder above everyone else." So we have a fleshly something visible to the human eyes that makes him distinct. But what made David distinct was the heart. God said, "I have found David a man after my own heart that wants to please me." And human frame of judging things is different from God's frame of judging things. In the ultimate scheme of things, in the book of Revelation, Jesus Christ said about the church, he said, "You have little strength." And he praised that church. You have little strength. When we come to human measurement, you have little strength, and he praised that church. And Paul, in another place, said, he will glory in his weakness. He will glory in his limitations, so that God's power may rest on him. When he asked Jesus Christ to take away a thorn in the flesh, he said he prayed 3 times for God to take the thorn in the flesh away. And the Christ, the Lord, replied and said, "My grace is sufficient for you." So let's go back to this verse. For who we will not dare, like it's something we can't even imagine thinking about, to classify or compare ourselves, to begin to judge. This is the level of this person, this is the level of that person. No. Paul, in another place, said that our approval comes from God, not from man. Our approval comes from God. For we would not dare to classify or compare ourselves with some of those who recommend themselves, who say, "This is my CV. This is how great I am." Some people will say, "If nobody's going to praise you, you praise yourself." Fine, but remember, I'm talking about ministers of God. Yeah, I'm talking about the ministry. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Because the context here is the context of the ministry, the context of ministry. We will not declassify or compare ourselves with some of those who recommend themselves, but when they measure themselves by themselves and compare themselves with themselves, they are without understanding. That is the conclusion of the Holy Spirit, that it's childish almost. It's childish almost. God bless you. See you later.